Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, July 1st. July 1st. Can you believe it? Independence Day on Monday. I want to hear what everybody's plans are, what you guys got going on. Again, going to say good morning to everyone except Jody Sue Brown. And I mean that. Good morning, Doobie Scooby. What a cool name. Aggie Willett, good morning. Jules, hello, my friend. Eddie, good morning. Kayla, good morning. Hi, Misty Doo. Gaelic girl, how are you? Hi, Collie. What's up, my friend? Wolfcat, hello. Let's see. I scanned too much. Shannon, Georgia Peach, hello. Hello, Uli girl. How are you? Let me go back up. Sorry. There's our friend Bailey. There's just me. Katrina, good morning. Good morning. Angie Gibson, good morning. I hope everyone is doing good, getting ready for a big weekend. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Mary Glick, good morning. Magoo, how are you? Teresa, hello. Joe, how's it going? So what a crazy 24 plus hours it's been. We're going to touch on it a little bit. And then in the members live, going to really break down what's going on with Jody. That will be at 12:30 Central. So for today, though, we are back to summer. I did discuss Jody last night because she was talking about her involvement in summer, her ex-boyfriend or husband's involvement, and it's still up in the air if she's even telling the truth or just wanting attention for herself. So, but for today, we'll discuss it a little bit, but then we are back to discussing the case of Summer Wells, and then in the members live, I'm really going to go into some thoughts about Jody and my own personal run-in that I had with her that I don't discuss on this channel because I don't really think that the drama does anything for Summer, and I am not saying anything about any other creator because if their platform works for them, then that's for them. It just doesn't work for me. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Snow. Hello, Muscles and Mascara. How are you today?
Hey, sorry, but I don't know what happened. I couldn't get it to unmute for a second. I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm reading this comment right now. Joe said, JSB is trying to backpedal. Nope, she don't get a pass. It came out of her mouth. You can't unring a bell. So you can't turn around now and talk about domestic violence, scared to death. And there are a few people that are sympathizing with her.
Yep, I can't agree with that more. She said it, so and if you don't want anything said about it, you shouldn't have said it in an open forum. So you did, and you had to expect people to react to it. So they are.
Well, not only an open forum, her own open forum.
Exactly. Unprovoked, she did that. That's all on her, and it's nobody's fault but her own. So can't blame that on us all.
Nope, she jumped on there. Andy was on another channel. I guess she wasn't liking that, so she thought, well, I'm going to steal his thunder, and instead made a hurricane for her.
Absolutely.
And make no bones about it, Andy's got a lot of problems too. So I'm not sitting here saying Andy's this perfect guy and Jody's the demon. Oh no. Those two were cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely. And they both faulted Summer equally. So there's that. So.
Yep. Hang on. Diane Pipan, what did she say? Wednesday night, here's the short and sweet version. Andy was on another channel. He was at work. Was he street sweeping or something? And just having a interview with, I think it's CSI. What's her name? Piper?
I think so.
Yeah, real nice lady. I liked how she did it. Anyway, well, Jody didn't like it. And so she goes live and says he needs to be asked about basically drugs he sold to 110 And some of these drugs were used to sedate girls so they could be touched. She even said that she knew about it before shit went down. Did I miss anything, Muscles?
No, no, ma'am. You did just fine. I'm just going to let you have at it too.
I think that's about it for now. You want to, first of all, happy birthday to your son.
Oh, thank you.
Almost a 4th of July baby. I bet that was better than fireworks.
Yeah, it certainly was. We were still in the hospital, and so I got to watch them from downtown. So that worked out good. That was the only good thing about still being in the hospital at that day. So that was very fun. So I've given him a hard time since last night about this time 14 years ago, and he just gives me that eye roll like, Mom, you say this crap to me every year. And then I just woke him up very annoyingly by going in there and singing to him. So
I used to do that to my sons, and they were like, but I wasn't even born at night. I was born in the morning. And I'm like, yeah, still.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, listen to this. Ree's son's birthday is today, too, and he's 14.
Oh, how cool. Well, happy birthday to her son. That's awesome.
Well, let's do a happy birthday to the birthday boys real quick. Happy birthday, and a big weekend. So you get to actually have 2 celebrations. You have birthday
Yes.
and then 4th of July.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. That was so sweet.
Well, I'm sure the boys are super sweet sometimes.
Yes, I do have to say, he is a sweet boy. So thank God.
I know mine are. And I mean, they're adults now. And I'm like, man, how did that happen?
Yeah, I think it's the side eye, Brooks. If anybody's just a brand new mom, I recommend that you have a really awesome side eye look. If you do, you don't have to do a lot of discipline. You just get the look.
They just kind of
And
know, don't they?
yeah, absolutely. And I was born with that look, so I didn't even have to practice mine. It was born with it. So
that's hilarious. Well, do you want to go through some comments with me from not
yes,
yesterday's show, but Wednesday's show?
absolutely.
All right, from the show on Wednesday, where's Summer? 800 TBI find said Candace put Summer in that white truck and took Summer down the driveway. But they want y'all to think it's the dog trail, because if they said driveway, it would bust Candace Bly. I agree with this 100%. That's the reason I'm doing the 2-part show with Muscles, that they've been telling us all along in one way or another what really went down that day. We call them crazy. We dismiss them. They're liars. They won't let us know, but the truth is in there somewhere. What do they say? The devil's in the details.
Absolutely. I'd agree with that comment. And, that just goes back to, if you remember, I asked you to back it up and let me look again because it looked like the driveway at the very end. And that's when they said, this was the last known location where she was on the property. Well, that was the driveway and not the dog trail. So
then we go to opposite day. They sell
Yep.
they sell it. There's Don. I didn't even know that dog trail was there. Yet he knows the phantom abductor. He said, well, we know she was in the basement. Got her out of the basement and went down the dog trail, not the driveway. That's where the dogs have the scent.
Exactly.
They blow my mind. Now, I did hear that Don B saw Candace the other day. I would have shit and fell back in it. I would have been less surprised to see Elvis than Candace.
Yeah. And I've told you this before, but I've never saw her, which is crazy to think about. And I'm not really sure how I'd react if I did. So I just hope that I continue to not see her. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I have no desire to see her.
So then, I mean, he saw her, so she's, I guess, somewhere in Tennessee,
Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like it.
which would make
Bless
more
their
sense
hearts.
because I wouldn't think authorities would be really super cool with her laying low in Georgia or Arkansas because any way you slice it up, she would be the main suspect.
Yeah, and you know, we always wondered about that too. And I'm sure they knew exactly where she was. I'm sure that if she did go out of the state, she has to have permission, I would imagine. So, but yeah, I'm glad that she's not too far away from where her permanent home may be someday. So
Maybe someday. And you know, that's the tricky thing. When you're on the government watch list, you really just can't flop wherever you want.
no,
They're gonna,
no,
and if you try to hide, there's a special group in our society called the U.S. Marshals. They're gonna dig your ass up real fast.
absolutely, absolutely.
I was kind of hoping that would happen, but that's just me.
Me too. Me too.
All right, T Walk said, "Love it when you and Muscles and Mascara are together." Well, we do too.
Oh,
Take a
thank you. Me too.
pat on the back to Muscles. I said from the beginning that Summer's hair was shaved as a punishment by Candace, that she was heavy handed with her children. I believe so too. And especially Summer. Jealous big time of Summer and Dawn. And she did something to Summer that could not be reversed. I agree with this 100%.
Absolutely. She knocked that one out of the park. That's
Mm-hmm.
a great summation of how the rest of us feel. So that was, it's very true. There's no doubt in my mind that, I mean, that's the way exactly how I feel. So she took the words out of my mouth. That was great. Great comment.
Especially when you look at the history of Candace.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's
She
really
did
exhausting.
something to Summer that could not be reversed.
Yeah.
Had to get help getting rid of her, which would explain we knew she was in the basement
Mhm.
and somebody took her off that property. She had to get help getting rid of her. Regardless of what happened to Summer that day, I still believe there is a major criminal behavior on many levels that has gone on to that property. And with those they hung out with. The whole thing is sickening. I agree 100% T-Walk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That comment makes me about sick to even read it because, and I'm sure she was about sick to even write it, talking about, you know, doing something to Summer that couldn't be undone. I mean, that's, gosh, powerful statement and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Yeah,
There was a reason she had to go away June 15th.
absolutely.
Ann Hennessy said these two so-called parents are probably hungover every other day of the week. I can see Candace and Don losing it with Summer. Now remember, Candace was there with her. Don is the partner in crime. Not saying that Don is innocent as the new fallen snow or Grandis. I go back to Candace because, to her own admittance, she was the one there. Dawn's at work, Sleeping Beauty is snoozing in the camper or washing her hands from planting flowers. I don't know. Anne says maybe she was being difficult in the car. We don't know. I think it would take more than that for Candace. I think there's something else there, and I think it does relate back to the horse pond.
Yeah, I agree. There's something did go down there. Now, whether or not something specifically happened to Summer right then, I don't know. But obviously, that it was a trigger point, or she wouldn't have had the reaction she had when she was talking to McDonough. I mean, that's just, you know, he was very, McDonough was even pointed it out to everybody, you know, and that was the time that she showed emotion. So, what made her get actually, if you want to call it emotion, what made her get that way? Something did. So, something happened.
And we go back to the TikTok video, and I'm not going to put it up today, but I can't remember who it was in Discord, said, I don't believe it was Hunter running out there to save her. It was more of a he was splashing her back out, like, go on and play. Like,
Uh,
don't bother us type of go
yeah,
away.
yeah. Oh yeah, when you said that to me the other day, because I didn't see that, but whenever you told me that, I was like, gosh, that's a really good point. It very well could have been exactly just that, just trying to shoo her away because other activities were taking place elsewhere. So
Yep. Anne goes on to say she was a hyper child. She was a tiny little girl. I don't understand Grandis needing to go to the ER that particular day. I know. Alibis, alibis. They think part of their plan, in quotes. Didn't they run across Don upstairs in the early AM before he went to work? No one ever mentions this. No, they don't. There are so many minute details that would make perfect sense to us that they leave out. Where were the
yeah,
boys that morning when you left?
mm-hmm.
When did you eat breakfast? See, all of these things would make sense. So the things that, like I said, make sense, they leave out.
Yeah, and I always go back to the timeline itself was messed up from the word go while he was still there supposedly to their own admissions about their time frames of 7:30s when he left for work, and that's what he said. And she said she had grandma there by 8, so they had to have crossed paths, and there's no way they were still sleeping when he left because they couldn't have made it in time. So it's just ridiculous.
No, there's no way. There's no way. So she fills in the time gap with, and we know about the running around from the ER to when they dropped off Hunter. We can figure all that out, okay? It's stupid, but whatever. Also, but from when they drop Hunter off to when they get home, we've got a huge gap of time that all we can come up with is nap, knee brace, and flowers or cactus.
Oh gosh. Where do you
Let's
even go with that train wreck? Because that's the truth. You nailed it just there. I mean, nap. Say that again.
nap, nap, knee brace, and flowers.
Nap, knee brace. I missed the knee brace part. Yeah. I mean, can anybody around this poor child tell the damn truth? I mean, my God. It's not even well, no, you can't because there's something that you've done. So no, you can't tell the truth. But it's really not that difficult. Like I understand that when I go throughout my day, I don't know what I did 15 minutes ago. I get it. But if there's something that went down with my kid that day and I had to go back and figure out what all happened, I'm pretty sure that I could get a heck of a lot closer than what they have gotten for us. And there's no doubt in my mind, might I miss it by 30 minutes? Absolutely. And nobody's expecting you to say at 2:07 I was doing this. Nobody's expecting that. But you can't even get the time frame right. And I'm not even sure the day's right at this point. I mean, I'm just so frustrated with all of it.
And also I go back to the arrest affidavit for Letitia Staunch and how they were filling in her timeline, and what was very suspicious to them because they studied her social media activity months leading up to. So in the time frame when she was murdering Gannon, she was totally off her phone. I would be very anxious to know how active on the phone Candace was between when they got home to when she called 911. We do know that she posted on Facebook a little after 6 o'clock. She was very, very active on social media, whether it was sharing Facebook posts, posting on Facebook, commenting, TikTok. Of course, she would be texting, calling. I would love to know between when they got home and that 911 call, how much activity was on her phone. We will find out someday. I'm going to guess slim to none.
Yeah, I agree. I think the dead air will be a telling part too, because you're right. Apparently, she stayed on her phone. So, and not judging anybody for that. A lot of people do stay on their phones, but when my child's out in the water, I don't stay on my telephone. It's called being a parent, but she knows nothing about that, even though she's had 7 attempts at it. But nonetheless, I digress. So, yeah, I'd be interested in seeing the that data because I think it's going to be really telling, really telling.
Yeah. And if she tries to say, well, that whole time I was looking for my daughter, but why didn't you call till 6:30? That, like I said, the title of the show, make it make sense.
Yeah, and we've all went over that time frame. We can't make it make sense. None of us can. We certainly can't.
No. We're going to try, though. We're going to try to make it sense. We're going to try to make it make sense.
Absolutely.
Jill said, you're right, Brooks. They've all squirted out bits of truth this past year within their script, which is always changing because it's false. Don't think they anticipated it to be questioned and fall apart. This is true. This is true.
Yes.
Then they flounder and grab onto anything someone gives them. Dog trail? Yeah. Driveway? Yeah. Fridge? Yeah. Listen to what Don said when he was banging on the fridge. He shook his head almost in disgust. I don't know what she was doing. He's not talking about Summer. He's talking about Candace. But he's deflecting to the dog trail because he knows Summer was taken off that property via the driveway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we, why? I'm going to say that comment. Go ahead, Brooks. I'm going to say that.
No, go ahead. I've got too much suspense. You've got to go ahead.
It's just, that person's comment was so true, and I don't remember who said it, but the comment itself is awesome because the simple fact is, if you were telling your truth and the truth, that never wavers at all. And like you said, the devil's in the details. Well, if you in fact had something like this again, like I just said, happen, then you're always going to know exactly what story it is, because it's not a story. It's actually what freaking happened. I'm going to leave it there, Brooks. I got a call. Hang on just a second.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that she said that, because one person can tell you a lie. They can look right to your face, whether you believe it or not. Look at Jody Sue and lie to you. But 2 or 3 people can't tell you the same lie. Candace does not stick with their script per se. She went way off of it. But Don and Candace have always kept to the same story, which is telling me that there is some truth into what they're saying. There's something in there. We know she was in the basement. She wanted to go inside and play with her brothers, and then she went down into the dungeon to play alone. Okay. We know she was in the basement. They haven't ever gotten away from that. Never. Okay, Lisa Hobbs says, all except, wouldn't the 3 boys have told by now? And also, was it not said that one of the little boys said Summer wanted him to go down to the basement with her and was upset afterwards because he didn't, and she then got gone? I never heard anything about her inviting one of her brothers to go downstairs and play with her. I don't know where that came from. I never heard it. As far as the 3 boys saying something, I go back to the detective saying the CPS case has bled over into this case. My only assumption there is that they have said something. I'm not saying something that's, really cracked the case, but enough for the 2 cases to intertwine now, Let me look. Hang on. I just missed a comment. Well, I just missed it. Sorry. Let me try to find it. There's a fly in here. Staying with someone named Billy. You mean Candace? Where does she find these friends? Jaded. Candace and JS met at the end of the driveway, in my opinion. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it at all. Sarah says, Don talking is all a distraction. If he claims he was not there, then why come up with all these details? That has always been the $64,000 question. If you were truly at work all day long, You get a call from Candace saying you can't find Summer. His immediate response is to call 911, not, well, go find her. She's got to be around there somewhere. It's call 911. Then how can you know she was in the basement? How can you know someone took her down the dog trail? Why are you cherry picking what the investigator said? How do you know she was in that basement? How do you know? You wouldn't. Hang on, what did Bailey say? Joy Catcher, I totally agree. I think Don knew the area more than Candace. Oh, I do for sure. That's why when he said to Dr. Phil he didn't know the dog trail was there, how could he not? I mean, I've seen videos. I didn't know it was called a dog trail. I just assumed it was a trail. I just call it a trail. You've seen the boys on their dirt bikes, going up and down. They played there. How did he not know it was there? Then we see the news anchor going with him, and it's steep. So she's kind of making it where it's like, this would be very difficult to do, especially if you've got a child, as Don said, fighting you and gasping for air. The driveway would be a lot more convenient to the door of the basement. Drive around the circle, as we've seen from the aerial, and back down the driveway. Oh, Jen. Jen said, because Brooks, Candace, his upstanding wife, wouldn't lie. Dear Jesus. Yeah, take her at her word. Exactly. Take her at her word. All right, so I've got 2 different interviews that Don did very, very, very early on. One is from June 18th, and then one is a few days later. Don was setting this in motion even though he was at work very, very early. Very early.
Hey, sorry about that, Brooks. I'm back, but I was just going to say this chat is the smartest chat ever. I love their points of their perspectives. I love how they dissect everything, whether or not I totally agree, whether they agree with me or I agree with them or whatever. It's not even about that. It's just insane to think about. They're smart. They're freaking smart. I love it.
Hell yeah, I love this community. And I've been in other chats just going to say hi, and I see the stuff that flies around, and I'm like, I can't do it. Can't do it. I even try to remember some names. I'm like, God, if they show up in ours, I'm going to lose it.
I've been doing the same thing.
Don't do that to me. So we're going to go back in time to when Don set the ship a-sailing.
Let's do it.
All right, so he at first was speaking with Jeff at Rogersville Review. This is 3 days after Summer went missing. Don, who was at work and got the call from Candace at work saying she couldn't find Summer, who immediately said to call 911, which is odd. You would say, well, she's got to be around there. You wouldn't just say, unless she was hurt. But the whole conversation that I gather is that she couldn't find her. She's missing. But they all immediately knew she was abducted. Thank you, Bailey, for the super sticker. Did you find that to be odd, Muscles, that his immediate reaction was call 911?
Well, yeah, especially if it was, like you said, 2 minutes. I mean, I would never call anybody in 2 minutes because I hadn't seen my child in 2 minutes. But again, nobody also goes and checks on their child in 2 minutes in their own home to make sure they're where they claim that they were going or whatever. I mean, if my child's in my house, I know my kid is safe. Yeah, they can get hurt and do anything like that. But that's when you should be able to go down and find them. because they're safe. And if there was an injury or something, they're still going to be there. But you play this 2-minute card to say that somebody came up and swooped her up in 2 minutes. It's ridiculous. I mean, they couldn't have gotten down the dog trail, the driveway, or anything in 2 minutes rolling. I mean, let's just be honest. They couldn't even do it.
You
So it's just insane.
your driveway in 2 minutes.
No. And so to claim abduction immediately is ignorant to begin with, and then to call 911 in 2 minutes. I'm not saying they shouldn't have called 911. It's just obvious that in 2 minutes, no, that shouldn't be the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, 2 minutes. First of all, it would take you more than 2 minutes to realize she's not there. It would take you 2 minutes. I mean, look at our normal habits. Okay, so let's just say Candace did take her by the hand, and, Mom Patrol walks her over to the house. There's your brothers in there watching TV. I've also heard they were playing a video game. I've also heard they were watching YouTube. Even though Don was never familiar with YouTube until after Summer went missing. But the boys were, because they were watching YouTube, whatever. It would take you, okay, you turn around 2 minutes, you got to mess with the knee brace, probably check your phone, sit down, whatever. That's 120 seconds. It goes by fast. But we're supposed to believe that in this time, she decided to go down to the dungeon by herself. Somebody happened to know she was there. Either she walked out on her own accord and was grabbed, or somebody went in there, but nobody could hear the door. How could Candace outside not hear somebody coming up the driveway?
Yeah, because she was supposedly sitting on Grandma's step, or Grandma was sitting on her step.
Yeah, even if they didn't drive up, doesn't gravel make noise?
Exactly.
Around.
Yeah, and in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Okay, so that means that they had to come in and sweep her up. They're not walking, people. They're running. And you show me somebody who can run quietly on gravel that you don't hear and down a freaking embankment, down the AKA dog trail, with a 40-pound child in your arms that supposedly screamed, if you want to believe that theory, that supposedly screamed, or to listen to Don tell it, was struggling, gasping for air, squirming, whatever his wording was. Y'all, really? I don't even know why they think that in an imaginary freaking land that would make sense. It doesn't. You can't even make it make sense.
No, you can't. I mean, and he's explaining all this to us in great detail. I think she had her mouth covered and was gasping for air. Now, if Dawn took her out of the basement, she wouldn't be screaming and gasping for air because she knows Dawn.
Exactly. Yeah, and that would explain why, like I said, the dogs weren't there. Summer wasn't screaming, whatever the case is, and might explain why Dawn knows that she was gasping for air. You freak. Oh, my God. Here we go, Brooks. I told you I was going to be in a right mode today. Here we go.
You freak. Oh, my God. Big T, you're going to get a spanking. Thank you for the super sticker.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
That is hilarious, you freak. All right. These two videos back to back, I know we're going to piss off Muscles and Mascara. Okay, guys? She might need one of Jody Sue's sedatives. All right? Just saying.
Yes.
Here we go. This, like I said, this is just a couple of days after Summer went missing in 2 minutes. It takes longer to tell the story than it does for Summer to go missing. Remember that.
I would be interested in knowing what happened that day. I know it's going to be hard for me to have to relive it.
Well, sir, I was at work, so, but from what my wife has told me.
Okay, right there. Well, sir, I was at work, so we have we have a positive so, and then a but, which is a negative, from what my wife has told me. Already we have a problem.
Yeah. Why does he even? Oh gosh, I can't. I'm just gonna keep listening.
Okay.
I'm gonna let the build up happen.
Okay. I can feel it from here.
And stuff, you know, her and her mother and Summer were planting flowers by her grandma's trailer, which is about, 20 feet from the house, or real close to the house. And Summer all of a sudden said, Mom, I want to go in the house. So she said, fine. And her brothers were in there watching YouTube.
Watching YouTube. We've also heard playing video games and watching TV. I guess it's not really important since Don wasn't there, but still, it's another indiscrepancy.
Yeah, and if you're gonna speak to people, you should know. Sorry.
Oh no.
If you're gonna go in and say it, I mean, make it be the truth. Don't just be guessing and adding stuff to the story. You freak.
Yeah, you freak. We're gonna do a show next week called "You Freak."
I love it.
And those things do matter. Some people think, well, that's not a big deal. If you followed the Lacey Peterson case, when Scott Peterson said he left and she was watching Martha Stewart, it was a big deal because Martha Stewart wasn't on at that time. Now, they found out it was on a cable station, so he was telling the truth about that. But still, it was a big deal that he said that, and they didn't believe it was on at that time. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, YouTube's on 24/7. They have a smart TV, or they were watching one of the kids' phones. I don't know. But they are going to find out what the boys were really watching. Don't get it twisted. That will be important.
Absolutely.
She watched her walk in the door and went in there, and then she went in there.
She watched her walk in the door. Candace changes this, okay, to she took her by the hand and walked her in. Okay, now we can't fret Don because he wasn't there. This is what Candace told him. Yet Candace says she had her by the hand and walked her in. You guys see where I'm going?
Yeah, and let's just put that in perspective. At the watering hole, what she self-admitted to McDonough, she took off running down that path to go to the water. If you're going to hold her hand, that'd been a good time to hold her hand, not at her damn house. You're a freak too, Candace. Thank you.
Yes, you are.
And her brother said that she was going to go downstairs and play with toys. So she went downstairs, and then Mom come in and says, where's Summer? Well, she's downstairs playing with her toys. And she had that hollered for her, and there was no answer, so she went downstairs, and she was nowhere to be found. She went out the basement door. The door was unlocked. But she's never left there. She might be on the other side of the house. Because I went out there before and called for her. She come out from behind the house. So she just has to be outside. She's an outside type of person,
But she wasn't that day. She's an outside type of person, which is a weird way to describe a 5-year-old little girl, okay? Already she's an object.
Yeah, it's so weird. So weird how he even talks about her. It's so strange.
She's an outside type of person. I mean, here's Summer. Right here. She's an outside type of person. You would say, my daughter loved playing outside. We couldn't get her to come inside. Summer loved outside. She's an outside type of person. That's the way I would describe someone I really don't know. Well, I heard they're an outside type of person. I like to be outside a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy. And when you said object, that's exactly how he describes her. Exactly.
Disassociated.
But she was gone, buddy. And
She was gone, buddy. Let that soak in. But she was gone, buddy.
I didn't even hear that, Brooks. I must have broke up or something. He said what?
Listen, you're gonna like this is a good one.
type of person, but she was gone, buddy.
But she was gone, buddy.
You said, you freak. Oh my gosh. Ugh. That makes me want to throw up.
April said, yep, she was gone, buddy. Oh, well. Tinfoil Brat Brooks nailed it. Thank you. She was gone, buddy. She was gone. She was an outside type of person, and she was gone, buddy. I don't know Jeff Bobo at Rogersville Review, but I have a feeling this was an interview like no other. I bet
I can
turned all
guarantee that. I can guarantee that. You know, he had to be sitting on the other side of that phone going, what in the absolute hell is he saying? How ignorant. I didn't even know there were people like this in the world, I guess. I want to be a little bit naive to all that. That's insanity that he just said, she was gone, buddy. What the heck?
She's gone, buddy. Like Tinfoil Brat said. He's telling a fake story like the one that got away. She goes like,
Yeah.
This douchebag right now. Yeah, like, oh, well, she was gone, buddy.
Oh, my God. That's so true.
My wife called me, and I said, hang up for me and call 911 right now. And
Right now. Call 911 right now. Now, he'd already said that before she would get out. Now, they said she never did before, but he just said, and they'd find her on the other side of the house. So he has no questions, no ifs, ands, buts, nothing. I'd love to know how long the phone conversation was between Candace and Don. If it was as simple as Candace calling, I'll give it a minute, okay? And she's in a panic, can't find Summer, she's gone, and he says, hang up and call 911 right now, okay? I'll give it, 40, 45 seconds. I'll stretch it to a minute. But if they were on the phone for a little longer than that, I'm going to assume that it's Candace saying what really happened, and she needed help.
Yeah, that'll be I can't wait till we can hear those calls. I can't wait that. I cannot wait. Or not hear those calls, but find out that data. I cannot wait till we can find that.
And we have to also remember, TBI has said in their second, I believe it was the second press conference, we should know by now, we've heard it so many times on here, when they said, and they emphasized, early afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's not early afternoon.
No, it's not early afternoon, contrary either to what some may believe here in East Tennessee. That is not early afternoon to us people either, I promise.
No.
I was at work, and I called 911, threw all my tools that I could in the vehicle, and from Jonesboro, I come out. I made it out here before anybody because I was freaking out.
How far is Jonesboro from Ben Hill Road, approximately?
I think it's around 35 minutes, maybe, Brooks. I'm not 100% sure. I've never really done it. But just a quick guess, that would be what I would guess.
Okay, about
35 to 40 minutes, maybe.
Okay, so early afternoon to 6:30, he's 30 minutes away.
Yeah, 30, and it may be as late as 45. But somewhere around that time frame.
All right, just curious.
Yeah, but I can't wait for this next part.
Well, because I'm thinking to myself, not trying to blame Don or anything, but would he have time? Now, mind you, he doesn't have a per se supervisor, somebody with eyes on him all day. Like, a lot of people, when you leave work, there's someone you check out with. You're like, hey, I got to go home real quick. Don could be easily not seen and then show back up at work and nobody would know. He didn't have a partner because he fired Dudley the day before.
Mm-hmm. How convenient.
Yeah.
And not to mention that he takes time to stop and pick up his tools and stuff. That's a freak comment. Who does that? I wouldn't have thought to even, I'm not even sure that I would know how to turn my vehicle on it if I would have gotten that call. Seriously. That's how real parents react.
It's also odd that he didn't trust Candace to call 911. He also called from another county.
Exactly. And so then that just delays time. I'm not saying that took a super long time, but because he had to call 911 and he wasn't in Hawkins County, they had to transfer him. So here's that transfer happening. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
And the only dispatch we've heard, which we didn't hear Dawn's voice, never have heard about the call about Candace. The only one we've heard, and we only hear the dispatcher on the end, was they had talked to the father. It makes me wonder if Candace really called or not.
I don't think she did. I'm not convinced.
And when I got home, I drove to the bar property, and I realized that all my neighbors and stuff were combing the woods looking for her, and I realized right then and there.
So he goes to the bottom of the property. He said he realized that all his neighbors were combing the woods looking for her. I had forgotten that he said that originally. That's really important to know, that she couldn't have gotten too far because people were already on the property yelling for Summer, looking for Summer.
Yeah. And didn't he say something about I realized right then and there that she was gone. Somebody got her. What? How do you even get to that? How do you even get there?
Well, I'm looking at this comment from Humphrey. So Summer walks out the door. Candace didn't check she was with Grandis or on her swing or check the sheds or look to see if she was with the puppies under the house. Nope, buddy, just gone, abducted. Yep, all she did was turn over some blankets in the dungeon and said she was gone. That's it.
Yeah, and she said she looked under blankets for like 20 minutes. You show me where there was blankets, because last time I checked, I didn't even see sheets.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Freak.
I saw one torn up looking blanket, looked like the dogs had been sleeping on some worn out mattress laying on the floor. What blankets?
Yeah.
That she was not there. I knew right then and there that she was gone. I just, because she would never leave there on her own. Somebody had taken her out.
That's what I was going to ask you.
He knew she would never just leave on her own. Somebody had taken her out. This is just 2 days, not even 2 days. I don't know what time this phone call was. I'm just going to say 3. After Summer disappeared on June 15th. He knew when he got there, somebody had just taken her out. No hope, nothing. You heard him say, she's gone, buddy.
Oh my gosh. He literally said, take her out.
Mm-hmm.
And he stumbled across those words. Gosh. Wow. Take her out.
Is she capable of going through? They've covered miles of area to search.
No, she would never leave, because for one thing, we have bears and wild dogs, and we got druggies that, come around other people's houses and stuff, all out.
So let's talk about that. The wild dogs are their dogs, okay? The bears, I don't know. Are there bears all over that hill? Because, come on.
Obviously, we live in a bear-populated area, but do you walk out your backyard and see them? No, unless you live in trash and filth, then perhaps maybe so, Brooks, because God knows they had enough of that out there for the bear to eat. Freak.
But he says right there, and this will correlate with the next video, and druggies all around the house, coming up to the house and stuff. Why would you have druggies coming up to your house all the time?
Well, and here's the thing with that, Brooks, and everybody else, I want to give you my perspective on that is, if you truly felt like that place was that unsafe because there are so many drug dealers and so many this and so many that, then you know what normal people do? They move and they go somewhere where they feel safe. Mm-hmm. But no, you chose to live there for a reason, probably because you fit right in with the crowd. So he can leave that trash where he found it, which was in his front yard, probably. So.
Yep. Always druggies around the house. Forget about the bears and wild dogs. She's gone, buddy. I just knew someone took her out. Go back to put this comment up again from Barb. Hunter mentioned that there was a text that said Andy said it was done, and now I believe that. Also, McDonough was very careful to cut the name out until months later and filled it in to where we hear the name.
Yeah, that comment, Brooks, I have always. That was probably when I first started talking about people that there was all this stuff was out on YouTube and stuff. That was probably the comment that I went to every single time. And you always said, okay, well, that may not be true. He may have been making that statement up or whatever. But I
Right.
always had a gut wrenching feeling when he said that there was truth in some of that somewhere. And it looks like the way things have unfolded over the last couple of weeks that he may have been telling the dang truth on that.
It sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like it. Absolutely. And the reason I said that is because we didn't have a name. And I said it's done could be anything. I mean, it could be, delivering the wood. It could, anything. And then we hear the name, and especially with all the other things that have come out, sounds like it's done correlates to what Don's trying to tell us here.
Yeah.
Unless I'm reaching too much.
No, but you just said something too that I've always wondered about, that they were asking for wood donations in the middle of freaking summer. Like,
Wasn't
I know
that
people, yeah, I know people prepare like ahead of time. That's not these people. That's something that normal people do, is try to get firewood prepared for the winter during, typically it's the fall. Ain't nobody out here trying to be in 98 degrees with 175,000% humidity in East Tennessee in the middle of summer putting wood away. Give me a break. That is disgusting, and I don't know why, but that makes me sick to think about it. It truly does.
so they were wanting firewood. Now, I don't see them as being real hunters and gatherers. We got to prepare for the winter. These people didn't even keep up on their car insurance and car tag.
Exactly.
Yet
Exactly.
we need firewood in June.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
God.
And
This was like at 5:30 in the evening, which makes me think, someone was laying in wait.
Why does he mention 5:30 in the evening when the call was made at 6:30 and TBI says early afternoon?
Yeah, and he fights with that too in his mind. Like, he's like, I swear I think it was 5:30, but they said it was 6:30. I swear I feel like it was 5:30. It's really interesting.
People's houses and stuff, all hours of the night. But this was like at 5:30 in the evening, which makes me think, someone was laying in wait. I've heard somebody say that these people track kids down on Facebook and find them, and I've heard that story. I mean, I don't know, but all I know is she's definitely not anywhere around there. I think somebody's abducted her and took her out of the area.
Wow. Well, have you noticed anybody suspicious?
No, and and they've done such a good job. They followed every single lead possible. They have tracked down all kinds of people.
They've tracked down all kinds of people. This was June 18th.
Yeah, and you have a car every hour down that road, but they've tracked down all kinds of people. That's interesting, Don.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've tracked down everybody. They even, had me in there, lie detector test on the 9 yards.
They have to rule out every possibility.
Yes, absolutely. So it didn't bother me to do it whatsoever. I understand that. And a lot of times the parents are responsible.
And a lot of times the parents are responsible.
Tell us some more truths, Don. Tell us. That's the most truth you've told this whole entire time.
But he's very flat when he says that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's recent history that's been the case. Or like a family member.
Right, absolutely, yes. But we don't associate with all them people. We try to associate with church people and stuff like that.
You just said druggies come up to the house all the time. Those aren't church people.
No, they're definitely not. Definitely not.
We're Where's Jody, Sue, and Andy go to church? What about Allie?
No.
What about Sherry, who has court coming up for child abuse? We don't associate with those type of people, according to Don.
Yeah. Okay.
And Summers got a lot of friends in church that just love her to death, you know. And
Where do y'all go to?
Seventh-day Adventist, right across the street from Walmart, there in Kingsport.
Oh.
You know, we was going to the Baptist church, you know, but when I found out the true Sabbath on Saturday, I wanted to go to a Saturday going church, so I thought I'd go check them out one time, and we've been there ever since.
Oh, wow. What have you all been doing while this has all been going on?
Just trying to cope with everything.
Yeah.
Talking to the police. I can't be alone right now for some reason, and so if I have to, I'll go down there and talk to the police and just hang out with them, you know, because I just can't be alone right now.
That was really telling to me when I heard it like the 5th time. I just can't be alone right now. I just can't be alone right now. So sometimes I just go down and talk to the police.
Yeah. You can't be alone to your own demons. Yeah, that's usually how that happens, Dawn. That's usually how it goes.
And
voices start talking.
Oh, yeah. And people that are trying to convince somebody of what they did, involved in, know of, will keep going to the people they need to convince until they feel that they believe them. Till they get that reaction from them. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it does.
No, I just you know.
How are Summer's brothers doing?
They're coping with it better than me and their mother are. I don't understand that, but I mean, when they really think about it, they're upset, but they're coping with it way better. Especially the youngest one. It's like I don't know. It's weird to me,
but it doesn't seem real to them.
Yeah. But me, you know, the most I've done is watch the news a little bit. I can't focus on nothing. Originally I'm from Utah, and I met my wife in Arkansas. And
I'd love to hear this whole interview because you can tell it's clipped out. It goes from Don saying all he can do is watch the news. Then it goes to how he's from Utah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it's in cases where the parents are not involved or responsible. They've got other things going on. They don't watch the news because they're in contact with law enforcement. They have a liaison there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And most distraught people can't get on TV and talk to the news either. They usually have somebody talking for them for a little while until they can get their composure, because that's how normal parents act again.
Yeah, absolutely. And what has always gotten me is that he would do these phone interviews, but when TBI would do their press conferences, he was never there.
No, neither one of them. And Candace should have been there the year anniversary. If they had nothing to do with it, she should have been standing right there, or at least been in attendance.
I mean, at least one of them, because sometimes in cases they're like, look, we need you to represent the family. You know, you stay home. They kind of try to divide it up. You know, we don't want people reading too much, focusing on you guys, want to keep it on the case or whatever. But since Don came out early being the spokesman and he was the one at work, then why wouldn't he be at all the TBI press conferences? But he says all he was doing was watching the news, but he can't handle being alone.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. No, you weren't doing any of that. Any of it.
No.
We come out here to help my mother because she got sick, and then she ended up dying from, I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, but she left us that property, and we've been there ever since.
Okay.
We've made Tennessee our home. There's a lot of good people here.
When did y'all move here?
About 13 years ago from Arkansas. I was about to help my mother because she was in need.
So your kids, this has been their only home then? They're
yes, sir.
Born and raised.
Yes, sir. Well, except oldest one. He was born in Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the rest, I think, the rest were all born here. Yes.
And does your wife have a Wisconsin connection?
Yes. Well, her sister, my wife's sister, come up missing. Like, I don't remember how many years ago it was, but they never found no trace of her either.
Where was that?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've never paid attention to any of that part of it.
Yeah. Do you know where she grew up in Wisconsin?
All right, so here he's being asked about Rose, to where he says they never found no trace of her either. So on June 18th of 2021, he's already telling us, believe him when he says it, they're not going to find Summer. He asked specifically about Candace's sister, then he compares it to Summer. They never found her either. Why would there be, they never found her either on June 18th of 2021?
Yeah. Yeah, just so confident that Summer's never going to be found again, isn't he?
Yeah.
And we all say together, you freak.
Yep. Wolfcat said, why would they bother looking for her when they knew?
It's facts.
Why? I'm not looking for my keys right now because I know they're in my purse.
Exactly.
But when he's asked about Rose Bly, and Don says they never found her either. This is 3 days later. How do you know they're not going to find your daughter, Don? Why is your mind so made up, June 18th of 2021, that there is no hope, and you are saying they never found her either?
Ugh.
Yep.
I sure don't. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I have a criminal history. I do, when I was in Utah, when I was younger, but I've turned my life around, doing my best to be a commandment keeper, for sure. Me and myself, they can do whatever they want to me as long as my kids are safe, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so what is your plan now? I mean, what is your outlook?
Well, my only plan now is just, no matter what happens, either way, I'm staying church, be a commandment keeper, and wait for the resurrection day, buddy.
Yeah.
He's going to wait for the resurrection day, buddy.
How do you just casually say that? I mean, oh my God. How do you even get your mind go there unless you just know? You just know that you're going to have to cope with it. So I'm going to go ahead and say it.
Uh-huh.
Gosh. Oh.
Waiting on the resurrection day, buddy. She was gone, buddy. Somebody took her out. And what's really poignant to me, you guys can pick out your other parts. And I mean, every time I listen to this, something sticks out, just like all the other stuff I've re-listened to. When it's brought up about Rose, he doesn't really know much about it, except that she was never found either. No, well, we're going to find Summer. As far as Rose, I don't know what happened there. It's sad. It's terrible. It's my wife's sister, blah, 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 blah. But they never found her either.
No, because you aren't part of the freak show, Brooke. So that makes sense for all of us to say it that way. But not for him, no, because he is freaking involved in every bit of it. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. And by the way, the chat is keeping up with how many times I say freaks, I think, which I find hysterical.
So I keep
so
seeing
we
every
need to
time
have a later evening.
Freak.
Yeah, we need to have a later evening stream, and we'll have to make that like a drinking game every time I say freak.
Yep. Well, Tuesday morning, of course, 4th of July is Monday. So everybody's going to be busy, got a lot of stuff going on. And so Tuesday morning, I'm not going to be able to do a live. So our next one will be Tuesday night. And we're going to keep track of how many times the chat says freak.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Let's do it.
So that was June 18th. She's just gone, buddy. She's just gone. Verified she was in the basement. That's never going to go away. They're 100% sure, even though they didn't have eyes on her, that she was taken out of that basement dungeon. Somebody came up there and took her out, he said. This is how he's talking about his daughter. She's an outside person, yet she preferred a dark, moldy dungeon as opposed to the outdoors. Never assumed she could be at Grandis's camper. Never assumed she could be playing with the dogs. Never assumed she could be playing with the refrigerator. Nothing like that. She was taken out. Then we hear ask about Rose. Yeah, they never found her either. So already it's final. It's done. They're not going to find her.
Yeah, gosh. How
And
long
there's-
was that interview that we just listened to, Brooks?
That was from June 18th, Rogersville Review. I'm going to link it in the bio.
Okay.
So then just a few days later, Don has more light to shed on what happened while he was at work being America's best drywaller. This ties in more. So when you hear them back to back, you wonder why Jeff Bobo didn't take a permanent retirement. My hat to this man.
Yeah, bless his heart. Bless his heart.
We still got our God, and we still, I mean, you know what I mean? He's got to put our faith and trust in him. He's the only one that knows where she's at.
Right. Well, I guess I just wanted to ask a couple of quick questions about, since we last spoke, have there been any new developments or any changes in
No, not at all.
And I saw where Friday night after sundown they called everybody back.
Yeah, there was some sort of tip or something that we seen, you know, blue lights up and down Beach Creek, and the helicopter flew till like 4 in the morning, looking around, you know, so we was up till 4 in the morning being hopeful that they, you know, find something, but there's nothing.
Do you remember any big tip on that Friday night? That they had a heavier police presence than they already had out there? Or is this something Dawn's making up? Because when we talked about this last year, there was another lady in here, it might have been you, that said nothing was going on Friday except for the search.
That was it. That's all that I knew was, I mean, I listened to police scanners. I stalked the police scanners that week, and I realized they may have switched channels or whatever, and I might not have been hearing everything. I understand that too, so I'm not naive to that, but there was nothing. That was me, Brooks. I remember that was maybe the first time you and I kind of corresponded in chat.
It was because you were like, nothing more was going on than the search, which is plenty. But
yeah.
he said that was on Friday night. Now, remember, he had just talked to Jeff on Friday night, which was the 18th, June 18th, 2021. So now he's talking to him on the 21st, and he's got to hype it up and say, as if this guy can't figure it out. Oh, tons of blue lights, and how did they see from the hill with all that foliage? Tons of lights and helicopters till 4 in the morning that kept him up.
Yeah. God forbid you stay awake because your daughter's missing, Dawn. I mean, I've missed many nights of sleep because of that. You freak. There's another one. But that night, and listen, on Friday night, they're not going to be up there with the friggin' lights on. They have no reason to have their blue lights up there flashing on the friggin' hill. So no, that did not happen, Don. Nothing more happened at all. That was just a fabrication. And if anything did happen, it was probably that they were just having other people, you know, there may have been some changing of personnel in the middle, you know, later on that evening, just getting fresh new people in at that time, which happened often. You know, they worked in shifts because it was hot and they were going in this terrain, and they were, you know, there was issues with people dehydrating and, you know, those kind of things, just the obvious stuff. So, but Don and Candace sure didn't get dehydrated, did they? They were plenty hydrated with that R&R every night.
They must mix it with water or something.
Yep. They were playing the freak game from Muscles and Mascara.
My personal opinion is maybe some human trafficking ring.
Maybe some human trafficking ring. Now, he steps it up a notch the next week on his Facebook. He starts talking about Joe Biden and the cartel. But the trafficking ring could be his own circle of freaks. little bits of proof. It doesn't have to be the people from the show Ozark. It could be just their circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Their own little ring.
Are you okay, Muscles?
Yeah, I'm here. Whew.
Yeah, these are his words, not mine. And trust me, nobody in law enforcement told him we believe it's a human trafficking ring. This is his own admission.
Yeah.
He already told Jeff on Friday they've got druggies to the house all the time. Now he says, we believe it's a human trafficking ring.
Yeah, but the ring in which you created. You're exactly right.
It's your own ring, Don.
Gosh.
And I don't mean the one that the beautiful bride gave you.
No.
Seen her on Facebook and tracked her down like some kind of, that somebody is taking her out of the area, and I don't know whether it's doing a trafficking ring or what or who, but I knew from the first day she wasn't in the area, right?
He knew from the first day she wasn't in the area, so I think we should believe him. Now, he keeps saying that traffickers were looking at Candace's Facebook and targeted Summer. Traffickers aren't real big at taking children, okay? They don't want them. There's no need. Why is he so sure that they just happened to stumble across Candace Wells' Facebook, happened to find Ben Hill Road, happened to know Summer was in the dungeon, happened to know how to get up there and back down in 2 minutes without being spotted, took her out of the area with a very heavy police presence, and this was all done by a happenance on Candace's Facebook. Make it make sense. Then we remember when he was speaking to Brian Enton, and he's talking specifically about Candace, and he said she could have made the wrong friends.
Did you guys go to church on Saturday?
Yes, sir.
What was that like? Did you guys, this is the first time you've been back since this happened.
Yeah, when we first, we got there at 9 o'clock, and they had a visual for Summer, and they had all kind of pictures up on the screen, and when Summer run around that whole church and visited everybody, so when we first went in there, we both broke down, of course. Me and my wife broke down, and we had to go outside. But they've been very supportive, of course, and everybody has. Law enforcement's been very supportive and very good to us. But yeah, it was just missing Summer. I wish she could be there. Yeah, the thoughts of her not being able to be there with us and work with the people that she loves so much, it was heartbreaking, right?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're fine. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I was just going to see, one thing I neglected to ask you last time we spoke is just, can you tell me a little bit about Summer? What kind of a child is she? What is she like?
Well, I have a video, and it's on TikTok, the last video that my wife made of her, and she's got a couple.
That's not the last video. The last video is from the swim hole, Don.
Yeah, and why does Jeff Bobo have to ask you about your daughter? He didn't ask you the last time. Why would he even have to ask? God.
Because she's gone, buddy, and Don's talking about everything but Summer.
Yeah, facts.
I don't think Don knew about the swim hole. I don't think Don was really aware of all this stuff. That might have been another reason that Candace made a special trip to Allie's to confront Hunter. He's saying this is the last video of her.
I believe that. I believe that to my bones. I believe that.
Yep. So when Candace says she wasn't comfortable with the script, well, probably because part of her day was left out of it because she didn't tell O'Don at first.
There you go.
And I really like to share them with the public, but I don't know how to do that.
Are we allowed to go up to your house now?
at the church, but she don't want to do no interviews because everybody's turning this into, I don't know if you guys have been reading Facebook, stuff like that, but there's some pretty negative stuff on that. And they're calling her the Boswell something. I can't remember what her name was exactly, but that's really bad.
I guess, that's another thing I was going to ask you.
He's talking about Megan Boswell. He's saying that people were calling Candace another Boswell.
If the shoe fits, wear it, honey. That's all
There
I
you
can tell you. Prance around in it down the runway, because that sounds very familiar.
Is I don't think that the media has been disrespectful, and I have tried not to be. But I know that in this age of social media, which we're probably close to the same age, and we didn't grow up like this, but in this age of social media, everybody can get online and say anything they want. And I was just wondering how that has affected you and your family. Are you trying to stay away from it, or have you read it?
My wife can't help but to be on there because she's looking for clues. Yeah. She can't help it.
She's looking for clues on Facebook. She was arguing with people in comments after articles.
Yeah, and Candace, all you had to do was go to you probably didn't have one, but go to the mirror and look at yourself in the bathroom, and then turn around and look at your husband, if that's what you want to call him. Look no further, my friend.
Look no further. Druggies in and out of the house, that's you two and your neighbors. Human trafficking, that's your circle, buddy. That's yours, buddy.
That's right, buddy.
That's right, buddy. That's all on you.
But this negativity, is tearing her apart, and that's why she don't want to do any interviews, because she's afraid they lash out on her even more.
Yeah. I don't follow it as close as I should. What kind of things are they saying?
They're telling her I can't remember the Boswell something, but I can't remember what it was. They're comparing her to that, and just all kind of negative stuff.
How does that make you feel when you see that kind of stuff?
Well, to me, I just hang on to. I hang on to what good people say. I don't listen. We've been dealing with, even in Tucker Drywall, we deal with all kinds, and and of course I've been to prison. I try to I try to be around good people. I listen to what they say and what God says. The rest of them can,
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's got to be hard on your wife, though, to have to see that stuff.
She's not taking it well. She's having a hard time. She's up and down, and then, she really is. She needs some support, and of course, they're not. Our church members try to come up there, and they're just not letting anybody up there.
Right. And I guess you guys are. I don't know what that road looks like, but if it's anything like where I grew up, it's pretty spread out. It's up a holler. Not a lot of close neighbors to talk to.
They've been all through there with a fine tooth comb.
Yeah.
Several times over. She's not in the area.
Yeah. I just can't imagine who would be bold enough to go up a holler, a blind holler that, unless they had done some research or something. And
Okay, let's talk about this. Jeff is setting him up. We're going to hear Don's answer in a minute. I want to know who would just go into a blind holler and set that up and take that risk. Jeff is from the area. I want you to help me with this, Muscles.
Yeah, I always thought this was very interesting, and I love that Jeff Bobo did this because, he's thinking the same thing the rest of us are thinking, that, okay, do we truly have somebody in this community that's doing this, or somebody that's came to our community and is doing this? Because, we have a lot of areas here, in Tennessee where it's open, and, you don't have a lot of neighbors and that kind of thing. And so, there was a feeling, and people forget this, I think sometimes, there was a true feeling of fear around here, not knowing, even though in the back of your mind, I feel like everybody probably had a very, very much the same idea, that, the parents very much seemed to be involved. But there was still a part of us that had to step back and go, do we have a problem here? Like, is there something this serious going on this close to our home? And I know just by him asking that question, A, he's calling out the bullshit. Let's just call it that. But then B, in the back of his mind, he's like everybody else thinking that. And that it was so scary. I remember that. Even my child's older, I understand, but he's also at a targeted age. And because I'm not an idiot to this stuff either, I read stuff to keep up with the world events. I know what's going on, and I know what kind of freaks do exist. But um, I feel like Jeff was really trying to dig in on that, because he was like, okay, make it make sense to me to where I can maybe believe you to, understand that we've got this going on in our county. And it was a twofold question. It was out of just the fear itself, and then more so just calling out the BS.
Oh, I agree. And I love that he asked him this early on while it was fresh.
Yes.
Kind of reminds me of McDonough asking Candace, well, what are the odds? She was 50-50. Then you have Dr. Phil when he put them on the spot. What is the possibility of someone knowing where she's at? And what did Don say? I didn't know the dog trail was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Jeff Bobo does so good, because he does feel like he's just trying to get to the bottom of everything. And he's keeping his biased opinion, whether he had one or not. I don't know. I can't speak for the man, but I can read between the lines too. And, but I think he does a really good job at just feeling sincere and saying, I can't imagine what your wife's thinking. And because at this point, nobody had heard from her, so can't imagine how she's feeling and all that stuff. And it was just interesting to see how he goes about that and how Don handled it too. So hats off to Jeff Bobo.
I think he did great, and he conducted himself and kept his cool, because he knows he's getting a partial confession, because he's not a stupid man. He's an investigative journalist. He also knows he's talking to a suspect. He also knows he's being fed a line of bullshit.
Absolutely. Absolutely, he does.
I'm sure he's a family man too, so his blood pressure is probably in his ears. So I don't know how heavily you guys followed the case of, and it's still ongoing. We cover it here on this channel, Lily Peters. When they found her on that Monday, they did not know at the time that her cousin had killed her. Okay, he did though, and the chief of police basically said, this is a high alert community, because they believed at the time this was there was a danger to the community. This was not done in this case. So
say that again, Brooks.
With Lily Peters and Chippewa Falls, the chief of police believed that it was, like totally random. And every police department does things differently, okay? They don't like to put communities on high alert, but they did in that case. They didn't in this one, which tells me that early on they believe it was directly related back to that property, one way or another.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And here's the other thing, though, Brooks. I'll even self-admit this, because just like you said in that case, they were very heightened, telling people not to let their kids walk to school and all that stuff. And they did very much think it was random. But I'll tell you that a part of me, honestly, on those few days afterwards, I was very afraid. My kid's old enough to stay by himself or whatever. We don't work far. I would work from home now, but I didn't work far from our house then. I didn't want to leave my kid, and I'll be very honest. There were days that I called my boss and was like, I just don't feel comfortable, because I didn't know, and I was afraid. Here's the part I'm admitting. I was afraid that because we're not used to dealing with stuff like that around here, that our law enforcement was maybe looking at this the wrong way, and they weren't giving enough validity to the fact that somebody potentially could be pulling some kind of stunts like that. And I had a hard time with that. I can't tell you, when I talk about sleepless nights, y'all, I'm not saying that for like anybody to pat me on the back or poor pitiful me. Like, I for real had sleepless nights because I was scared to death of what's going on in my county, for real. And that's a scary feeling. And I think if we thought about everything that truthfully could be going on around us, we'd never sleep. Let's just be honest, because it's happening everywhere. But it hit different, and but I was afraid. I was afraid that our law enforcement wasn't experienced enough, and I'm not saying they are. I mean, but the only comfort that I could lay down at night with too was knowing that it's not just our law enforcement that's dealing with this. We've got federal agencies from the top down here, so I knew that we were in better hands than what we were if it was just our police department and not being familiar with that kind of stuff. But it was a scary situation, very scary.
Oh, I would be scared to death too, because the way that they came out talking about it, it sounded very random. My initial thoughts were, it's rural America. She has wandered off and she is out in the woods. She could have gotten hurt. She could have been attacked by an animal, which the dogs would have found very early on. She could have, after this amount of time, she could have dehydrated. And they always dismissed that. It was always, she was taken from the basement. Somebody took her out. And that's it.
Yeah. It's somebody took her out. That those words are enough for me. Ugh.
Yeah. And shame on Don and Candace for putting good people of the community under such stress that they were worried about their own children and their own safety.
Yeah, and listen, that's why, not only is it because they've hurt this child or they've done something or the way that they treated their children prior to all this, it's not only just that for me, it's for what they did to our community during that time, for what they put us all through. And that sounds so selfish, I know, and I hate to even say it because it makes it about us, and it's not about us, it's about Summer. But I hate them for what they put people through. I do. I absolutely hate them for it. I absolutely hate them. I hate what they've done to their children. I hate what they have done to this community. I hate that they have got on there and made people think that we're freaking, a bunch of Neanderthals from Tennessee. I absolutely hate everything they have done. And I don't use the word hate a lot in my vocabulary, or at least I try not to. But when I do, I friggin' mean it. And these two, I have hatred for. I can't help it. And I hope the good Lord I hope he forgives me for it. I can't help it. I can't. I've tried to look at it from a different perspective. I've tried to be, a little bit more objective and think about it a little bit more critical thinking skills or whatever. I can't help it. I can't. I am very biased. People can like that or not. I'm very biased. I have my opinions, and I just know how it felt here. And I know how people who literally give everything that they had to trying to find this sweet young lady, Miss Summer Moon Utah Wells, I know what people did for that. And for it to just go unnoticed and them not get up and say, thank you. You hear them make little snide comments, thanks for what y'all are doing. No, you go and you show your thanks. How about you go and buy them some freaking Gatorade so that they don't cramp up and dehydrate while they're looking for your child? How about you go buy them a meal? How about you take something and sacrifice and go do something to make it appear that you give two shits that your daughter is not in your house anymore? No, that's not what these freaks done. This is not what they've done. And that's why I do not care to call them freaks, because that's what they are. Sorry, that was a rant. Woo.
Absolutely. And you're in good hands because the Lord's not too happy with them either.
No. Nope. And that's the only thing that I can sleep well at night knowing, Brooks, is if they don't meet their demise here and they don't pay for what they have done here, they'll pay for it. That lets me sleep at night. I'll just be honest.
Like Joycatcher said, she said, God knows no one really gets away with anything. And this life is like a dream compared to eternity, the eternity they have coming for them. He needs to reread his resurrection.
Amen.
He needs to read it because he's not going to be in it. Him and Candace aren't going to be in it.
Nope.
And knew what they were looking for.
See, here's another aerial. Here we have the basement. I mean, it's a circle. It's a circle. Or she seriously walked her down the driveway.
I know, and then they have to time it right. You know, it just seems, it's hard to believe that something like that could happen.
Well, to be someone pretty desperate for money or whatever, or I don't know what their angle is, but yeah.
It could be money. I don't know what their angle is.
God.
Why would you say that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's hear that again. It could be money. I don't know what their angle is. Your daughter's missing. You're not a criminologist. You need to be advocating for your daughter. We don't expect you to put on, we don't expect you to walk around and look for her. You need to be advocating for her. They are professionals.
Exactly. And stand on that up there and plead for your daughter's life and not make excuses and say stupid crap like you can't wait to see her in the resurrection. Get on there and plead and talk to them. Look them in the eye through the camera. Don, you freak.
Just try to be human. But he's like, it might have been money. Well, is it, Don? It sounds to me like you might have been part of this transaction.
I know, and then they have to time it right.
See, Jeff's saying right there, then they'd have to time it right. See, he's a normal person. He's not a criminal, but he's thinking as a normal person. They'd have to time it right. That she is in the dungeon, that they would just happen to know, unless that was the delivery point. This is Don's answer.
You know, it just seems, it's hard to believe that something like that could happen.
Well, to be someone pretty desperate for money or...
It could be someone pretty desperate for money. Why would Summer be worth money?
And that's disgusting that's what you first went to. Are you serious right now?
He's saying it. It could be someone very desperate for money. Don is...
Yeah, Don, you asshole. Oh.
Or whatever, or I don't know what their angle is, but yeah, it would be pretty desperate.
But he asked you, he's saying this is out of the realm of possibility. This is one question that Don never has an answer for. He deflects every time. When asked, even Candace, and please, Candace is not as dumb as people make her out to be. When asked, this is not in the realm of possibility. How would somebody know? He said, I go blind into the holler. You know she's in this dungeon, this basement. You don't know if the door's locked or unlocked, but you happen just to try anyway. You take her out, and Don can't explain that. Candace can't explain that. They don't even begin to attempt it. I wish they would. Instead, Don tells Dr. Phil, I didn't know there was a dog trail there. Candace says 50-50, could be 50-50. Now he tells Jeff, or very early on, it's somebody that was very desperate for money. The devil's in the details. Don and Candace have been telling us all along.
Well, I guess, how are the kids doing? How are your sons doing?
It seems like they handle it more, better for some odd reason that I don't understand. My oldest boy, though, he'll stop from time to time and say, this is his sister, so, but, your mind has a way of forgetting every now and then. I find myself doing it too. Every now and then but then it comes flooding all back, of course,
Yeah.
I might get away from it for about 15-20 seconds, but it'll all come back. That's the first thought on my mind when I wake up.
Okay, now listen to that again. This is coming straight from Don. He tries to forget about it, but then it comes back. He wasn't there.
God.
He wasn't there. What's coming back to him? He wasn't there. The phone call that Candace said she couldn't find her, what's coming back? You weren't there.
Exactly.
Well, do you remember what your last memory was of Summer, what you all were doing?
Probably the night before she wanted to twirl. So I just hold her in my hand while she twirled. Because that's what she considered herself a ballerina or a princess working with my employers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see how you could. I wouldn't be able to work under these circumstances. It's too much.
Yeah, it is. It's too much, but I'm just trying to have hope and faith in God that He knows all things and that He will protect her is my hope and prayer.
Yeah.
Wherever she's at, and that He will turn it all around someday, to glorify His name.
Okay. So
God.
that pretty much sums it up.
What?
He's hoping that God will turn all this around someday. Not that we hope she's found.
Yeah.
There's tons of people out searching for her. She comes home safe. We just hope God turns all this around someday. We believe it's human traffickers. We think it's someone who was desperate for money. So that's 2 interviews back to back, Don's own words, where Jeff is trying to make it make sense. And you can't, because Don, here's the thing. Even if Don doesn't have an answer, he'll answer you. Except when asked, what is the probability of someone going into a blind holler, happening to know that Summer's home and where on that property she is and how to get to her? It's someone desperate for money.
That the whole ending of that was sickening to even hear. Well, the last parts that we listened to, because I mean he says absolutely nothing, but then says everything, because he says everything for exactly what happened to her. The truth is there. He has told us, but he says nothing in that. He says nothing about his daughter. It's ridiculous. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. I mean, that's the only word I can come up with.
Nope, I think Barb encapsulates it. She said, I don't know what happened, but I do know they're disgusting. They are. And if there is any truth into what Jody Sue said, any truth into it, it could have been a matter where they couldn't have woke her up.
And how many times did that run through my mind since I heard her say those words? Again, is it true? Is it not true? Who knows? But she said it regardless. So, if it's not true, then she better pay for it. And if it is true, she better pay for it. Because that's crazy what she came out with. That is insanity. I can't make my mind go there. I can't, Brooks. I can't do that.
I can't. And if there's any validity to it, then I go back to the WJHL interview where they actually got Candace to talk. I'm not saying she ever had to talk to the media at all. I don't fault any parent for saying, I'm going to let law enforcement do their job. They don't need me. I don't. I really don't. I'm a weird one like that. Like Lily Peters, her parents have never come out and said anything. And when people think it's suspect, I'm like, they don't need to. They don't need to. They are not there for your entertainment. But she did. And what did she say? It smothers me.
Yes. And then Dawn's words just solidified it, which was she was gasping for air. Are you friggin' serious right now?
Gasping for air. It smothers Candace. Jeff Bobo, what is the probability of someone going into a blind holler, all the other things, knowing that there's a child there, or if you already knew the family and they have a daughter, knowing that they're home, knowing where she is on that property, going up someone's driveway without getting your head shot off, that you can get to her and get out of said property. And what does Don say? Somebody desperate for money.
Yeah. And Jeff Bobo even says, they must have been doing, I don't know what his exact words were, but something along the lines of they must have been doing some research. Somebody must have been studying. That's exactly right. These things don't just happen because somebody wakes up and decides to do it. They're very much planned and thought out every time.
And in a case like this, there would have to be some cooperation on that hill.
Absolutely. Yeah. No doubt about it. I mean, they had to be, there was coercion there. Guaranteed.
3 boys that are there, whether they're watching TV, playing a game, or watching YouTube. Candace whether she was napping, planting flowers, washing her hands, or whatever. Candace. So right there, we have 5 people in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Don at work or en route back to work. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So again, make it make sense. For now, I'm just going to take little bits of what Don says at his word. This was somebody desperate for money. Human traffickers, druggies around the house all the time.
Yep, absolutely. Listen to his words, because again, there is truth in them. It's sprinkled around with a lot of BS around it, but there's truth in it too. Guarantee it. And always remember the truth at the very beginning. And guess when this happened? This interviews were in the beginning.
Very beginning. This isn't something that took him months to dream up. This is the very beginning. This is not, I know they're going to find her. I didn't think she would ever wander off before, but hey, she is 5. She's rambunctious. I know they're going to find her. It was like, she's gone, buddy.
God.
She's gone, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I didn't even catch that the first time I listened to it. I can tell I was listening for other things, but yeah.
She's gone, buddy. Well, guys, I'm going to start winding this down. As always, it's a huge treat to have Muscles and Mascara on. I love your insight into this case. Of course, you take it very, very personal, which we all do, but yours is on a totally different level. You were there, hands on deck from the beginning. Many thank yous to you.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I always appreciate you letting me be here, Brooks, and appreciate this community and your all support. So thank you all very much.
Always a chair at this table for you, my friend.
Thank
so we're
you.
going to start getting ready for the members live. We're going to talk more about Jody Sue, my own personal run-in with her, not in person, which I don't discuss on this channel because I don't like to do all the drama stuff because it really has nothing to do with Summer, my story. But anyway, and we're going to do our 4th of July giveaway and get ready for a spectacular Independence Day weekend. You guys are the best chat and best community on YouTube. I'll see you back here at 12:30, or I'll see you in Discord on the Facebook page. If not, I'll probably see you Tuesday afternoon. All right, you guys be safe and see you in a little bit. Bye-bye.